Week 1 is quickly approaching, under 48 hours away, and while the draft season was so fun, now people are starting to get nervous about setting their Week 1 lineup, and here I have you covered with all of the tight end breakdowns for Week number 1. I'm going to be discussing every single matchup from Thursday Night Football all the way up until Monday Night Football, and I'll be telling you guys whether I believe you should start or sit the tight ends in every single game, as well as how I project them to finish on the week. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you are new to the channel and you don't end up enjoying the, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. So without further ado, let's get into my Week number 1 tight end start or sit decisions for the 2025 fantasy football season. We begin with Thursday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for Jake Ferguson, I have made it very clear in the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver start-sit videos for this game that I am nervous about the Dallas Cowboys offense as a whole. This game does have a very high point total, 46.5, which is the second highest on the week, but the Cowboys are 8-point dogs, and I ultimately think that the Philadelphia Eagles defense could suffocate them heavily in this game, and we don't see a lot of production out of the Dallas Cowboys offense as a whole. Now, since they are such big underdogs, they are going to have to throw the ball a ton late in the game, which could end up leading a guy like Jake Ferguson to falling ass backwards into a top 12 finish. But I am far from excited about him this week. Still a low-end tight end one, though, just due to how quickly the position falls off after about the top 10 or 11 guys. For Dallas Goedert, he is off of the injury report with a groin injury, and he is ready to roll. There are a ton of cooks in the kitchen, though, there in Philadelphia. He is a touchdown or bust weekly tight end due to how up and down his targets are on a weekly basis, but if you have to play him, it's okay. He is a high-end tight end number 2 because of the game total being so high. Next up, we move to Friday in Brazil, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, on paper, this is a rough matchup for tight ends for Travis Kelce going up against the Chargers. Last season, the Chargers allowed the 6th fewest amount of points on a per-game basis to the tight end position. On the other hand, though, there is no Rashee Rice for the first 6 games of the year, and Kelce played well in both matchups up against the Chargers last season. You drafted Kelce for a reason, and that is to start him weekly, so you're not going to play the guessing game here at the tight end position. You will fire him up as a clear top 8 tight end. I got him inside of the top 6. Now, for the Chargers, they do have a few tight ends that we will be seeing utilized this season. For Week 1, I would expect Will Dissly to be the guy that they utilize the most, but that's not a guarantee, and it's also not guaranteed that Will Dissly is utilized by a big margin compared to the other guys. Dissly's targets were all over the place last year, and just really not a guy that should even be remotely in consideration for you to be playing in Week number 1, and frankly, I don't even think he should be rostered. Moving into the beginning of the Sunday slate, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Now, Kyle Pitts has played very well up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2 straight seasons. Last year, he scored 15.8 PPR points in Week 5 as the tight end 6, and he dropped his nuts in their mouth as the tight end 2 in Week number 8, scoring 25.1 PPR points. Now, look, do I really want to start Kyle Pitts in Week number 1 after how many seasons in a row this dude has just ran a train on me? Of course not. But if there ever was a week for the man to pull the rabbit out of the hat, for the man to have a big game, it would be here up against a defense that allowed the 9th most amount of points on a per-game basis to the tight end position. So with the Falcons going up against the Bucs at home in Atlanta, I believe that he is going to have a great game. Again, do I feel 100% confident in it? No. Will I love having to roll Kyle Pitts out there? No, but he is a high-end tight end number 2 for me on the week. If I had Goddard and Kyle Pitts, I would probably play Kyle Pitts. Now, Cade Otton practiced on Monday with his leg injury, and his status as of right now is up in the air. Last week, head coach Todd Bowles said he'd be out for a little bit. So even if he does force himself back onto the field, I don't think he will be himself. So if he is in, I would sit him, even though I do believe that he could end up having a decent season. If he misses, it would be Payne Durham, and I would not play Max Payne this week. Next up, we move to the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. For David Njoku in 2023 with Joe Flacco in 6 games, including the 2024 wildcard round, David Njoku had 37 catches for 483 yards and 4 touchdowns. In that stretch of the regular season from weeks 13 through 17, he was the tight end number 2 in points per game, averaging 18.2 points per game. The Bengals allowed the most amount of tight ends on a per game basis last season, and I don't think anyone expects the Cincinnati Bengals defense to magically be rock hard, Viagra style, and be able to contain a beast like David Njoku. This guy is built different. His whole career has kind of been fucked over by, them never really finding a quarterback. Still the case now, but Njoku has been pretty reliable over the last few years, so I love David Njoku as a top 8 tight end on the week. Mike Licky Amagasiki will be a sit for me if Noah Fant doesn't carve out enough of a role here. In Cincinnati, Gesicki could be a solid streaming tight end in plus matchups. Now, this would be one of those good matchups, but we don't know how good of a role Fant is going to have in this offense. Could he really cut into the workload of Gesicki? We shall see. And it's also week number 1, so you shouldn't be deep diving into the bottom of the barrel of the waiver wire to pick up a tight end. So Gesicki is a clear sit. Next up, we move to the Miami Dolphins, the greatest football team, at the Indianapolis Colts. Unless you've been a fan since like the 2000s like I have been, then they never won a playoff game. So for the Miami Dolphins, the most recent report is that Darren Waller is on pace to play in week number 1. As a Dolphins fan, I am excited to see what Waller can become. But with him being retired since 2024 and starting his illustrious rap career, getting rid of that chick that played in the WNBA, I really don't think he's going to do much in week number 1, even if he does play. I don't think we should be expecting even 2019 or 2020 Darren Waller to show up at all this season. But if he ever was to, right, if he was going to hop in the hot tub time machine, it's not going to be in week number 1, right? I think it's going to take a lot of time. It might not be till the end of the season where we actually see Darren Waller halfway useful, and that is far from a guarantee. He should not be rostered as of right now. Sure, he is a guy that I'd like to pay attention to because Darren Waller at points in his career has been very good, but as of right now, definitely not a guy you want on your roster. For Tyler Warren, the Miami Dolphins was a pretty middle of the pack last season up against tight ends, so I think they'll probably end up being slightly worse this season just because I don't think the defense is all that great. And this should be a solid start to Tyler Warren's career. Every single report out of training camp was basically jamming the metaphorical wee-wee of Tyler Warren down their throat. Every single report was so positive. Every single clip out of preseason was beautiful. It was fantastic. At the end of the day, do I love Daniel Jones? Fuck no, baby. But Warren could prove to become a safety blanket for him. He is a low-end tight end number 1 in his rookie debut this week. Next up, we move to the Las Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots. Now, for the man Brock Bowers, this isn't the best matchup up against the Patriots, but Bowers is simply different, so it doesn't really fucking matter at all. Even if this was the toughest matchup on earth, I believe Brock Bowers would have just taken a dump on the defense's chest, so I'm not going to panic at all. This dude sucks in targets with the efficiency of a vacuum. I got him as the tight end number 1 this week. For Hunter Henry, this is a great matchup up against the Raiders defense. Henry is one of those streamer tight ends that has big upside in positive matchups, kind of like Gesicki, who we talked about a little bit earlier. This would be a great example of that up against the Raiders. Now, with the team under a new coaching staff, we will ultimately not know necessarily game 1 off Jump Street how involved he will be. But if we're getting typical Hunter Henry, he should have big upside in this game, so I do have him as a high-end tight end number 2. Next up, we move to the Arizona Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. Just like Brock Bowers, you are starting Trey McBride in any given matchup. If this guy can miraculously figure out how to score touchdowns, he could be the tight end number 1 this year by a pretty solid margin. It feels like McBride is going to get fed Violet Beauregard style here. Feel great about a top 3 finish out of Trey McBride. He is my tight end number 2 on the week, right behind Brock Bowers. Now, Juwan Jennings, I got an interesting stat about him that I found on Twitter from @ScottBarrettDFB. Juwan Johnson has already caught a pass from Tyler Shuck at Oregon in 2019. Juwan Johnson is on his 3rd NFL contract, and Tyler Shuck is a rookie. Now, I get, Nick, this has nothing to do with anything because Tyler Shuck isn't even playing in this game, and Rattler's the quarterback 1, but that's very crazy to think about. Just when I read it, I just thought that was a little bit crazy. I thought that was interesting, so I'd say, fuck it, you know what, I'll tell all you guys that I thought that was kind of cool. Now, Taysom Hill is not expected to be back anytime soon, so Juwan Johnson has the ability to be a solid tight end, but I just don't really see that happening with Spencer Rattler there. And honestly, I probably don't see that happening with Tyler Shuck either. So Juwan Johnson should be on waivers. Every once in a while, though, he will have a decent game. You will just literally never know when to play him. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Jumbo Jets. But before we break down this game some more in depth at the tight end position, as well as the rest of the games in week number 1, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog, it's up using the link in the video description, or by using promo code Notorious, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus funds, as well as if you play $5, you will also get $50 in bonus funds. If you don't know what Underdog is, they're the best place to play Pick'em this NFL season. You're like, Nick, what's Pick'em? It is very simple. You pick at least 2 players. You pick their higher or lower. They have to be on 2 different teams. If both of those picks hit, you will get paid. Now, you can also do more picks than that, 3, 4, 5, and the payout will be higher, but all of them have to hit. So make sure you guys do check out Underdog. It is a great platform. They've got a great website. They have a great app as well. Make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description or by using promo code Notorious. So for this game, Arthur Smith loves Jonnu Smith more than I love annoying my wife before she goes to bed. But Freiermuth is still there, and this is a matchup that is expected to be the lowest scoring matchup of the week. When he was limited in training camp due to an injury, that really, really scares me. I think Jonnu can become a big piece of this offense with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, but for week number 1, I just don't think you should be risking it for the biscuit here. My GOAT, Jason Taylor's son, Mason Taylor, will make his NFL debut here. I like Taylor and think he will be a part of this offense as the season chugs along, but just like with Jonnu Smith, there's really no need to risk his first ever start on the team in what will probably end up being a defensive battle, straight up fucking snooze fest, so leave Mason Taylor on the waivers. Next up, we got game number 9, the New York Football Giants at the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders. Now, I am excited to see if we get something out of Theo Johnson this year, but based on the fact that he has not been seen since the team's second preseason game in practice, and there are no reports I can find on him practicing. Like trying to figure out who the fuck the Zodiac Killer was, right? Can't figure it out at all. So there's just no reports about Theo Johnson. I searched Twitter. I searched Reddit. I searched RotoWorld. I searched everywhere across the worldwide goddamn web, and I couldn't find anything. So I don't think it's a guarantee that he plays in this game. And we should see Daniel Bellinger, if that is the case, a guy that I used to think would end up being pretty good, so it's just a clear stay away. The Giants' defense last year was amazing at stopping the tight end production, and that is a large worry of mine entering into this matchup. I'm also worried about the fact that Zach Ertz is another year older and will turn 35 years old this season. I think in better spots, you can play Zach Ertz, right? And I like what the Washington Commanders can do, the amount of points that they can lay down in any given matchup. But again, the Giants defense was really good against tight ends last year. Zach Ertz had one good game, one not so hot game up against them last season. So it just feels like the smart move to lay him on the bench. Next up, we move to the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Probably one of the most underrated games of the week, in my opinion. Very excited to see what these two offenses are able to do in week number one. Now, last year in the 7 games in which we saw Brenton Strange have 65+% of the snaps, he was a top 10 tight end in 4 of 7 games. Sure, is that miracle work? Is that the greatest thing ever? Of course not. But without Evan Ingram now in Denver, vacating 7+ targets on a per game basis, Strange to me is a lower end start in the fringe start range. I have confidence in his ability as the starter of the tight end room here in Jacksonville with the Liam Cohen offense. But until he really shows me something, he is just a fringe tight end number 2, barely made the cut to even be a start-worthy tight end. Jatavion Colonel Sanders got a lot of praise from Best Ball Bros all summer long, and I was someone that actually has a lot of Jatavion Sanders in Best Ball over on Underdog, promo code Notorious, because of the fact that he was free. Shout out to FaZe Apex in drafts, and I drafted so much Bryce Young and this Carolina Panthers offense. And I do really agree that he is a good player. And while this is a high-end matchup for tight ends, we have only really seen a few splashes in his career, and until he makes a big splash like you threw Lizzo into the pool, I don't really feel all that confident about him, so he definitely should be on your waivers. Moving now to the Sunday 4 p.m. slate with the Les Titans, the Tennessee Titans, at the Denver Broncos. In week 1, I strongly believe Evan Ingram will be utilized as the number 2 passing option in this offense behind Courtland Sutton. All summer, the talks of him in the Joker role have me almost as excited as the first time I saw Heath Ledger play as the Joker, RIP. The Titans were great last season at stopping tight ends, so deep down I'm a little bit worried, but ultimately in week 1, this has been a main key talking point in all these videos. You start your studs. You didn't fucking draft Evan Ingram for him to sit on your bench while you play Zach Ertz. So for me, he's a top 9 tight end on the week. Now, anyone that's been playing fantasy football for a couple of years remembers the hype that was Chig Okonkwo. Now, you can blame the quarterback play for the reason that he never became the guy that we thought he could be. So now maybe he can prove it with Cam Ward under center. It's all about the U. But in this scenario, we will watch him prove it from afar. You know, couple football fields away with some binoculars, peeping Tom style, figure out what the fuck's going on with Chig Okonkwo. As of right now, he should be on your waivers. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, George Kittle was the undisputed, unanimous tight end 3 in fantasy drafts this summer behind Bowers and McBride. And at price, he was my favorite out of the bunch due to the discount you could get on him in the late 3rd or early 4th round compared to where you had to take the other 2. And I thought that was a great deal. George Kittle is another tight end where you don't need to care about the matchup at all. Like, in this scenario, the matchup really isn't the best up against Seattle, but I just don't give a fuck. George Kittle could lead the team in targets in this game, one of the most tight ends. He is one of the most tight ends, but he's also one of the most efficient tight ends in the game. If you have him, you're starting him as a clear top 3 option on the week. Elijah Arroyo has been a player that has gotten tons of hype in the summer. Lots of hype goes around, though, and that doesn't always work out, obviously, but it's his first NFL game, and AJ Barner could easily outsnap him and probably will outsnap him, ultimately. No need to even have a conversation about him, but this is just another name that, you know, while you're watching on Sundays or whenever the Seahawks are playing, obviously they're playing on Sunday this week, but you just want to keep his name in the back of your brain. You're watching the game. Maybe he does some good stuff and you're like, you know what? I will note that down. I'll remember that because if he keeps doing it, maybe we want to pick him up, but as of right now, no need to get cute with him. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Sam Laporta was a guy that I was pretty much out on in the summer based on his ADP. I didn't love that you had to potentially draft him 30 or 40 picks, sometimes even more picks between him and a guy like Mark Andrews or Evan Ingram or even David Njoku. when I think any of those guys could definitely outscore Laporta, and they were just so much cheaper. While I didn't like the price was not right like that game show. At the end of the day, Sam Laporta is still one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. He started the season off slow last year due to an injury they suffered late in 2023, but from weeks 10 through 18, he was the tight end 7 in points per game down the stretch. The Packers matchup is slightly above average against tight ends, and against the Packers last year, he didn't perform all that well. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to overthink that. Again, you're playing Sam Laporta. You didn't draft him in the 4th, the 5th, the 6th round for him to be sitting on your goddamn bench. Tucker Kraft, mac and cheese, was my main target in fantasy drafts after you weren't able to get one of those top 9 guys. We saw a couple of big boom, boom, boom games. Shout out to AJ and Big Justice last season, but not enough consistency this year with one solid game and one mad game against the Lions last year. I feel good about a low-end tight end 1 finish due to injuries to the Packers wide receivers and due to the fact that Tucker Kraft is probably the best red zone weapon on the team outside of Josh Jacobs, who obviously they will just hand the ball to. Next up, we move to the Houston Texans at the LA Rams, the final game before we talk about Sunday and Monday Night Football. If you guys are new to the channel and you have enjoyed, make sure you guys uppercut that. That was a really weird looking uppercut, a soft uppercut, because I was trying to get it on camera. Uppercut that subscribe button like it owes you some money. I would appreciate you a ton. So Dalton Schultz, Tyler Higbee, we ain't starting them. Dalton Schultz is the ultimate put in your lineup in case of emergency tight end. And what I mean by that is when your tight end is hurt and the waiver wire's looking barren and a bunch of teams are on bye, they're slim pickings, you roll out Schultz on the hopes that he fucking goes back in time to 2021 when he was on Dallas and plays like that. But those days are long past us, just like the days of starting Dalton Kincaid on a weekly basis. The Rams have a couple of tight ends on the roster. They've got Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, and Kobe Parkinson. Ferguson has been a guy that we've heard some hype about this summer, played pretty well in preseason, but ultimately it's week number 1. Why play the guessing game, the dice roll on the tight end position when they have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and they have Kyron Williams as well? Really, no need to do that. Next up, we move to, cause you waited all day for Sunday night, the Baltimore Ravens at the no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. The last time we saw Mark Andrews play football, it was a snowy day in Buffalo. I'm gonna paint the picture for you like my name was Pablo Picasso. AFC divisional round game. You remember what happened? Mark Andrews dropped the game tying 2-point conversion to put the nail in the coffin on the Baltimore Ravens season, which has led to a ton of people shying away from Mark Andrews. I get being scared because of, what might happen when Isaiah Likely comes back. But there is no Isaiah Likely to start off the season. He started off last year very, very, very slow because he was coming off of the ankle surgery from late November 2023. From weeks 10 through 18, he was the tight end 6 in PPR points per game. I expect him to right his wrongs from that playoff drop, and I expect him to drop his nuts into the mouth of the Bills defense as a top 8 tight end. Dalton Kincaid absolutely shafted me and pause anyone who believed in him last season. It was rough, it was brutal, and it wasn't fun. I loved what I saw in 2023 and thought that he would improve in 2024, but he fell very short of that. You ever see where that dude in the Olympics, maybe like 2 years ago, where he goes up on the thing where you run with the pole and you go up and you have to try to, what is that called? Where you try to go over the other pole and his cock, stopped him from going over there because he has such a big cock. I wish that was my problem, but he ultimately falls. That's kind of what happened with Dalton Kincaid. You saw like such a great 2023. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I saw so many positive things. And then ultimately it doesn't work out. Just 3 games out of 13 with over 10 PPR points. And his highest total was 13.1 with reports of Jackson Hossett, 5th round rookie, impressing at camp, another tight end, which takes away more time for Kincaid to be on the field. I expect a pretty disappointing season again, but in a game like this, that could be a Rock'em Sock'em Robots potential highest scoring game on the week. He's a dart throw tight end number 2. Final game here, the cold like Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears do the Super Bowl shuffle on Monday night. TJ Hockenson, just like all the other top 8 or 9-ish tight ends, you're playing them no matter what. No ifs, ands, or buts like Miley Cyrus. You didn't use a high-end middle-round pick on the guy to be scared of the Bears defense that were pretty middle of the pack last year against tight ends. Hockenson, when healthy, is one of the best in the NFL. Pretty up and down last season. Once he was good to go in week number 9, coming off the torn ACL and MCL from week number 16 of 2023. I expect him to look healthier and thus play better. He is in that top 8 range for me on the week and could be featured even further with Jordan Addison in football jail for the first 3 weeks due to the DUI suspension. Final guy, rookie, Colston Loveland makes his NFL debut at home on Monday Night Football. Everything I have seen about this guy, his tape in college, everything that the Bears beat reporters are saying just makes me ecstatic about what he could do in this Ben Johnson offense that lifted up Sam Laporta as a rookie as well as last season. But, this is far from an ideal matchup on paper, and it's his first ever start. So if a guy like Ferguson's available and you have Colston Loveland and you have someone you could, get rid of on your team, or maybe you have someone that's suspended, you got an extra spot, put in Ferguson instead. But Colston Loveland does have high upside because, again, he is very good. I just could see this game easily finishing where Colston Loveland scores like 3 fantasy points. That wouldn't really shock me at all. Thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you ended up enjoying, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. It would help me out a ton. Make sure you guys do check out one of the videos on your screen if you have not seen them already. Check out Underdog. Again, promo code Notorious. Play $5. Get 50 in bonus funds. I love you guys all more than you will ever know. Thank you guys for everything. Have a great one. We'll be back tomorrow with a banger video. Love you long time. As always, good boy.